What's going on, guys? It's Aaron back with you on Guys Dealings with Feelings. We really don't get taught coming up on how to deal with our feelings. We just kind of have feelings and we don't know what's going on with them. So that's what I'm here trying to do, trying to educate, trying to let people know, trying to share my experiences, trying to see if I can't help boost folks on their recovery journey. So today I would like to talk about making changes. I know I've done a reel on this. Change is something that has to occur. If we're stuck, if we don't like where we are, if we're unhappy, etc., it's obvious. But I feel like a lot of us, I know I did for years, man. I was stuck in the same damn spot for years and years. And some of that was a result of not clearing all the 5 stages of grief. I had suppressed the anger phase for some time. I'll go into that at a different time, but I had suppressed that for me and really my whole family as a result of the accident that had occurred with my son. So I wasn't able to even make the changes I needed to. We gotta clear the 5 stages of grief. So once I was able to clear that, I had tried to do things before. I was really, I've spent some time in EMDR. I worked with the electromagnetic stimulation, lots and lots of couch therapy. I'd taken medicines, both prescribed and alternative, and I wasn't going anywhere. I was just kind of in a swirl. And this hasn't been a perfect experiment as far as my life goes, as I threw the whole kitchen sink at my problems. And so I can't really decipher out this is the most important or that's the most important. They all seem to be pretty important. And that's why I teach them in my program. I go through all the things that we need to deal with our emotions and our beliefs and growth spiritually, growth mentally, growth physically. I go through all of these things because I believe that they're all necessary to make the ultimate change that we're looking to make. I know that, some of us are at ground zero, and the thought of overcoming this traumatic situation that you've gone through is so overwhelming. And I just want to encourage you all to not look at the totality of the recovery. I want you to look at the beauty of the recovery. Visualize what the recovery would look like so that your mind and your body and your soul know what you're after. And that you're done. Like, I'm done feeling like shit. I don't want to feel like shit anymore. I don't know how exactly I'm going to feel, but feeling like shit is not going to be acceptable any longer in my life. Pardon me. So once you've made up your mind for that and you figure out why I'm going to do it. So if you're going to do it for your children, if you're going to do it for your parents, if you're going to do it for your spouse or your partner, and I hope you can do it for you, but I know a lot of guys were providers, right? Like, we were raised to provide for the family. We were raised to go out and work. And so we don't do a lot for ourselves. And I wish I could just say, look, do this for yourself. Like, don't have to find somebody else, do it for yourself. But I know how we are as dudes. And a lot of times our loved ones kind of can push us a little bit further than we can push ourselves. And so choose that why. Figure out who it is or why it is. You want to help people. You want to do that. You want to do this. Make sure you know your why, because this shit gets hard. And giving up is obviously an option. I mean, I feel like I had given up for 8 years or so after my son died. As I've discussed before, I don't know how awesome I was doing going into the situation when Joel passed. So figure out your why so that when the shit gets tough and the road is hard and you want to give up, you look at the why and you go with it. But after you've figured out your why, now you got to start making changes. And they don't have to be they do not have to be perfect changes. They just need to be changes. If you continue to do the same things that you've been doing, you're going to continue to get the same results that you've been getting. And I know that you want to get past that and you want to feel better. It's just a matter of, I don't know what to do. And then you sit down and you set these goals. I'll tell you, you got to set your goals. And so you sit down and set goals. And look, guys, when we're setting goals, man, that is exciting. Like, the goals of setting it is exciting. Now, the journey and the path there is going to be hard. It's going to be grueling, and that's going to be tough. But just figuring out what we're going to do is exciting. And if you find that it's not, that it's dreadful or this overwhelming or whatever, I don't think that you're thinking about the right things in that time. You're not thinking about how exciting it's going to be to feel better, or to be a better provider, or to be a better father, or a better husband, or a better spouse, a better son. You're not thinking about those things. You're thinking about this humongous mountain that must be climbed because you're down here feeling like crap and you want to be way up there feeling awesome. And so you just think, oh, what all I've got to go through. I've got to deal with my mental health, and I've gained all this weight. I don't get out in nature at all. I really don't have any spiritual connection at all. And so it's just so much. And so another day goes by and nothing happens. And then you wake up tomorrow and you continue the negative cycle that has been occurring, whether it was kicked off with the trauma that you experienced, or whether it was just a life of content and not really striving to go further. And so you've got some regrets. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And you've just got this negative momentum in play, and it's going to continue in play until you disrupt it, and you must disrupt it. Nobody can come in and disrupt it for you. I know that with my trauma, when my son passed away, that disrupted shit pretty big for me. And if you've gone through the trauma recently, you're probably still going through the 5 stages of grief. So you're not quite to the recovery point yet. But when you've cleared those, you've got this great kickoff point to start shit over. And I don't care if it's been a month or 10 years since you've suffered your traumatic event. It can be the baseline for things you can't even imagine. And I know I say that a lot, but guys, I didn't even understand where I could get. I didn't understand how I could feel. I thought I was just going to be like this haze, this gloomy haze, like cartoons where Peanuts, I think, where there's this black cloud just walking, everywhere that the character walks, there's this black cloud hanging over them. And I felt like that. I really did. I felt dragged down by that feeling. I felt that I was not going to be overcome that. So it was overwhelming, and it just kind of pushed me down, and it was like it had its thumb on me. It just kept me pushed down where there's not going to be any escaping this. And I know a lot of you are there, and if you can do anything to change what you're currently doing, you can start that positive ball rolling. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, stop drinking alcohol. If you're smoking cigarettes, stop smoking cigarettes. If you're sitting around sedentary and you're not getting anything done as far as exercise goes, Google a state park or a local park near you and get out there and start walking, start moving, start doing something. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not going to accomplish a goal today unless the goal was to do something. And obviously you've accomplished that, but you're not going to set some lofty goal and then today it's going to be done. It's something that's going to take a ton of work. But again, don't look at that, because that is overwhelming. There's no need to overwhelm yourself. You're overwhelmed with sadness. You're already unhappy. You've got anxiety. You're stuck. You're basically, overall emotional level is not good. And you want to change that. And that's great. But you can't sit around and hope it's going to change. You can't sit around thinking this is it. This is what I got to live with. You got to do something about it. And I found that the easiest thing for me to do, and I was pretty sedentary. I had a contractor's license. I still have a contractor's license. So I did construction, but that was at work, and it was not really, consistent. We would be building things, and then we would have to stop and plan and look around. And I got further and further from the actual lifting of materials. And so I realized I needed to get something going, and I got to walking, and I started out just casually walking, and I got more intense into it. And I got up to a run. I was running, I think it was up to almost 4-mile run. And I'd never run. I played soccer as a kid, but since then I hadn't really run much. And I was running, and it was hurting my body too bad. And that sucked, because running can put us in a place mentally where we've got to dig deep and push through. And it's really a great training exercise for mind, for lack of a better term, mind manipulation. Getting to getting to show yourself, your body, everything that voice inside you is what's in charge. You are the one that's in charge, not your body. If your body hurts, you can push through it. If your subconscious or even your conscious tells you, man, quit this shit. What are we doing? Let's go back home and sit down and drink a beer and watch some TV. Why are we out here? It's hot. It's cold. It's raining. It's snowing. It's whatever. A bunch of bullshit's going to come up and you're going to want to say, I don't want to do this. And that's when you have to exercise the muscle inside you to say, no, damn it, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make these changes. I'm not going to sit around doing nothing. And guys, I know there's a lot of you out there that want to make these changes. You're just not sure where to start. Again, the program I've put together for men is to mentor them through this is a great place to start. But I understand not everybody has that opportunity to do that. And so if you don't, just make some type of imperfect action, like walking out the door and walking down the sidewalk. If you have a phone, figure out either with a map or with an app on your phone how far you've gone, put a couple miles in. And during that time, think about what all your, the things that you can mark right now. Like, I want to do this for, and you can, in your mind, you can do that. When you get back home from your walk, you can write it down. And then on your walk, I can speed up a little bit. Like, this isn't even pushing me, so I can speed up a little bit, and you can push yourself more there. You can expand your workout routine from there, but it's a starting point, guys. It's something to start with. It's something you can pat yourself on the back and say, attaboy, I did something. And you can prove to yourself that you can do it. And I know that you think, well, I'm sitting here all bummed out all the time, sad, whatever, anxious, because we'll just take me, for example, because my son died. And here this guy is, he's telling me just to go on a walk. And that's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I encourage you to do it in nature. If you have to walk down the street, then you walk down the street. Just get something done, imperfect, right? But if you can find a way to get out in nature and do what you'll be doing is a physical activity and a spiritual activity. The energy around you in nature, the animals around you in nature, the sounds, the calmness, the beauty, the wonderment that is nature, the magnificent things that nature provides. It seeps into us. And look, if I would have watched this 7 years ago, I would have said, that jackass doesn't know what he's talking. But guys, I've gone from miserable to happy. And I didn't even know what happy was. Like, I couldn't even define happy for you 7 years ago. And now here I sit. And, I'll emphasize again, this is not happiness built on any type of financial situation. This is, financial stability offers us a calmness and offers us some relief from anxiety. And I'm not going to act as if that isn't true, because it's totally true. I don't want to put off like money doesn't mean anything. In a capitalistic society, money does mean something, but money doesn't mean happiness. And if you think that just getting money is what's going to make you happy, and so you just continue to grind towards the money, no matter how close or far you may be from whatever your everything, the mental growth, the physical growth, and the spiritual growth specifically, then I don't give a shit how much money you get. You're not going to be happy when you get there. I know plenty of people with plenty of money, and they are not happy human beings. I don't have a copious amount of money, and I am an excited, happy human being every day when I wake up. When I attain money, I will take that happiness with me. If I don't attain a lot more money, I will maintain the happiness and it will stay with me. I will live a full, fulfilled life moving forward because of what I now know. And what I now know will keep me this way. And I just keep growing. It's not something where you learn how to ride a bike and you never have to work on it again. What I go through and the processes I have in place for myself, the routines I have in place for myself, they're all there to feed more growth. If we're not growing, then we're dying. And I use money in the bank as an example. We've got inflation all the time, and I know that's a sore subject right now. But inflation is always present, not just in the large amounts like it's been since COVID, but inflation is always present. So if you just have $1 sitting still in a bank account, gaining no interest, even as gaining the tiny percentages that you get out of a savings account. That money is going backwards. You are losing money because a dollar today is not going to be worth the same amount tomorrow. It will be less than a dollar's worth. And so tomorrow your dollar won't be worth the same. So it needs to grow today. The same is true with us. We must grow all the time, or that part of us will begin to die. Now, there's so many parts of us and there's so many things that have to grow and continue to grow that it's not necessarily easy to identify, which part of me is dying and all that. But if you have a mind set on something like this is it, this is the end, this is never going to change, nothing else is possible in this one thing, then that part of you will just stop. And everything around you is going to continue moving on that topic. It'd just be like a bookmark or a page in a book. It's just there. Whereas as a human, we can do better than a page in a book. The page in the book is locked. We are not locked. And that's the beauty, man. Like we can go and do whatever we want, especially in this country. Now, I get it. Some of us have more privilege and help and access to tools, but I talk about things that we can do that don't cost money because I haven't had a lot of money. So it's far more important for us to get out on this physical journey, push-ups, sit-ups, using body weight. I don't go to gyms. I do have a workout routine that I'm now doing on the television, but I stay at the house to do it. I can't stand a gym. And if going to the gym is something that you enjoy, then you're going to have to add things to that to push you and to push your willpower. If that's another muscle you got to work, is your willpower muscle. So you've got to work that muscle. You've got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. If you're a guy that loves going to the gym, that ain't one of them. Great. You need to get the workouts in. That's part of it. But the exercise in nature, getting out and hiking, exhilarating hike, steep inclines or, fast pace, unsure footing, things like that, where you're still working your body, but you're in nature doing so. And if you hate gyms and you go to the gym, you're building your willpower muscle. If you hate working out and you work out, you're building your willpower muscle. But we can't do things that we enjoy and hope to build willpower just because other people like myself don't have willpower or don't enjoy those things. So it has to be something you don't enjoy. So you've got to work your willpower muscle. You've got to grow your willpower, and it will grow. And the more you push yourself through uncomfortable situations, and change is uncomfortable. None of us like to change. We all like, we like our stuff where we like it. We want the remote where we want it. We want to sit in the refrigerator where we want it. We want our tools where we want them. Our car is going to be a certain way. We've all got our things. We don't want them to change because we get certainty when we don't change. We know my keys will be sitting right on that table where I set them. My car's going to be looking just like I left it it gives us certainty. And that's one of the core things that we need in our lives is certainty. I discussed it a little bit when I was talking to Rob. And I understand that. And I understand that change is hard. And I've said it before and I'll keep saying it, guys. This whole fucking thing is hard. Like when I laid around and not doing anything after my kid died, that shit wasn't easy. It was hard. It sucked. Now, it wasn't as physically hard as if I'm out working out or hiking or things like that, but it wasn't near as exhilarating either. Like it was hard in its own way, but it's hard. Like those of you who are stuck and feel overwhelmed, I don't think that I could get you on the phone and you'd say, oh man, life's easy because I just lay around on the couch all day long and watch the TV. You'd say you're depressed, you're anxious, you feel like shit, you feel stuck. Well, what do? Man, I just lay around all day. And it just makes it worse because it's hard. It's all hard. The whole thing is hard. And the sooner you can realize that, the sooner you can say, well, screw doing hard in a direction that ain't really making me better. I'm going to do the hard work that'll get me to a better place. Look at your why. That's why you're doing it. Look at your how. That's how you're going to do it. And then go do it. And when your mind kicks in and says, man, this sucks. This is hard. I want to go sit back down on the couch. I just want to grab some fast food and lay down. I don't want to do this shit. This sucks. And you're going to be hot and upset about the situation too. And so you're gonna be like, yeah, man, quitting sounds like a great idea. And then you quit. And then the next day you get up and you've got this negative momentum rolling. And so you say, fuck it again. I don't even care. And it just keeps going. And here you are, you're a week. And then you look back and you're like, man, what the hell happened? I was going to do something good for myself. I quit in the middle of my walk. And now I'm back further than when I started. Yes, that can happen. And yes, that's completely in your control. And yes, it's hard to overcome the argument inside your head. But I got sick of losing that argument and I don't lose it very often anymore. Sugar is something I lose it with more regularly than other things. But that's one of the smaller things I'm dealing with. I think I don't consume a ton of sugar. There was a time in my life when I consumed a ton of sugar after I quit drinking alcohol. I was right after my son passed, 7 or 8 months after he passed, I quit drinking alcohol. I guess I would be considered an alcoholic because the amount of alcohol I drank, but the ability that I had to quit, I question whether I'm the same. I don't know if there's a spectrum on that, then I'm on the lower end of the spectrum. Not to hide from my alcoholism. I'll own being an alcoholic as far as the stigma that goes with being an alcoholic. I'll go with the damage that it did to my body as an alcoholic. I just don't want to take away. There's so many people who have such a struggle, and I don't want to take any away from them and have no empathy for the struggle that they have, because my addictions seem to be, they go a little different. I get addicted to things for sure. I try to focus on some things and I try to balance and I try to moderate, and I'm always conscious of it. But my mind likes to lock in on something and run with it. And whether it's negative or positive, it doesn't seem to give a shit. It just likes to lock onto it and go as hard as humanly possible. I have learned a lot of things to deal with that, but I digress. So when I stopped drinking alcohol, I was able to understand so much more. But there was a lot of pulling me back, a lot of, what are we doing? Why are we quitting this? This is how we relax. This is what we do, because it was so much part of who I was. It has been so rewarding to not have in my life. And now I can look back 11 years and know that it was the right decision and I needed to do it. And I'm so glad I did it. And I'm kind of lost my train of thought of where I was headed with the quitting the alcohol piece. But, wanting to quit, laying around and not doing shit, wanting to not be stuck, wanting to not be depressed, wanting to not be sad. All of these wants fly right out the window when we find ourselves pressed and in a tough situation. We just want to crawl back into our hole and be secure, be safe. But man, that hole sucks. That hole is full of shit we don't like. We're unhappy. And most of all, and I think this is important for men, and again, I wish it was just that men could love themselves enough to do it for themselves. But what the fuck are we doing to our families? Like, what is this giving them? How are we helping them when we are so unhappy and we feel stuck and we feel overwhelmed and we feel depressed? What are we exuding? What do you think that you exude when you're unhappy? Let's just call it miserable, when you're miserable all the time. Do you think that your kids are getting the best version of you? I know my kids didn't. For forever, if ever, never got the best version of me. Today they do, but then they didn't. That's a regret I've got, and I don't want regrets when I die. And I think when we go through something traumatic, we get some taste of that mortality. And when you talk to somebody who's older, if they've got some perspective about them, they know that they're at the end, and they're reflecting on the things they wish they could have done or would have done or should have done, and they're dealing with some regrets. And I want those regrets to be as few as humanly possible when I get to the end. And I believe that by doing everything that I can to be the most fulfilled and happiest and thriving human being that I can be, that when I lay down on my deathbed or I'm laying in my deathbed, I can say I kicked it into high gear at 40. I really kicked the horse in the ass at 40, and I took off. And I'm so glad I did. And everything leading up to that, and the mistakes I've made, and I've made a bunch of them, and the relationships that I've lost, and I've lost a bunch of them, those things I've learned so much from, so I don't regret them because I've learned so much from the loss of the relationship, doing and ones that weren't my doing. All of them were learning opportunities, and I've treated them as such, and therefore there's no regret to go with them. Because if I hadn't have learned that, then I wouldn't be sitting here today. And we can't change what's happened to us already. We can change what we're going to do moving forward. We can change what we're going to do today. So, man, I encourage you to sit down. If you need to do it in front of a mirror, do it and tell yourself, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live the life that you want, not a life that somebody else has defined for you, not something that somebody has told you you have to do, but what it is that you desire in life and what it is that you want in life. Going through the emotional part, if you haven't watched the podcast on emotions, that's a good starting point on how to kind of identify what it is that you really want. Because, I said it in there, what I thought I used to want is nothing like what I want. It's what I thought I wanted. And it was just some crap that I had been taught that I wanted. It wasn't really what I wanted. And so you have to learn that. And once you figure that out, then chase that with all that you've got, man. You've got to surround yourself with people who want to do the same type things. Be around people who want to be around you. Give your love to those who are going to give their love to you. Always be kind to every human that you interact with. Get your perspective right. But it all starts with making a change. See if you can't make a change, guys. If you want to contact me, feel free to do so. You can go to my website, I2U Thrive. That's the letter I, the number 2, the letter U, and the word thrive, THRIVE.com. And you can kind of read about me on there. If you'd like to reach me on Instagram, I'll also at I2U Thrive. Check me out on Instagram. Follow me. I put content out on a regular basis there. And if you can, I encourage you to see if you can hop on a call with me and see if we can't talk about what working with me as a mentor would look like for you and what a healing process could be for you. I know how overwhelming it is. And I know when you look up at the mountain, you just say, it's too much. And you turn back around to the nice, comfy, shitty spot that you've been sitting in, because at least it's comfortable. At least it's certain. You know what it's going to give you. And that mountain just looks like a lot of hard ass work, and you don't even know what's at the top of it. I can tell you till I'm blue in the face what's at the top of it. But until you go up there and look yourself, you're not really going to know. Man, I tell you what, everybody around you is going to benefit when you get there. Look, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me as always. Check out my content. Keep following me. Thank you so much for spending time with me. You know how much I appreciate it. And I'm so grateful that you allow me to talk about these things. It's really helpful. I'm hoping that I can help as many men as humanly possible. Because it makes me feel good to help people out. And I didn't even realize that. I've lived pretty selfishly throughout life. I want you to do what you want to do. And I want you to thrive in your way and what you define. Thanks again. And I hope you have a great day.